welcome back. This week, we'll start exploring the diversity of life. It's amazing to me that from a single cell beginnings all the way to today's incredible diversity of living things, there is a thread connecting every creature that's ever crawled, germinated, swarmed, flown, or walked this earth. Scientists map these connections with something called the phylogenetic tree. Basically, a big branching diagram that shows how different lineages of organisms have diverged over time. The phylogenetic tree is also known as the tree of life. The phylogenetic tree, also known as the tree of life, is a diagram that represents evolutionary relationships among organisms. Philo means tribe, and genetic relates to genes. It's like a roadmap of life. You've got three major domains: archaea, bacteria, and eukarya, all splitting from a single point. See here, you got the three domains. You got the archaea, the bacteria, and the eukarya. And down here, you can see that single point where they all come from, and they split up. Picture an enormous family reunion. You can trace your lineage back to that great-great-great-grand ancestor, and so can your third cousin twice removed. Same deal with the tree of life. If you trace your favorite organism's branch backwards, you can find every little fork in the road that tells you how it's related to everything else. This history of relationship among species is what we call phylogeny. And the biologists who reconstruct these family connections are involved in systematics. Think of it as detective work for life's ancestry. So, phylogeny is the evolutionary history and relationship among different groups of organisms. And systematics is the scientific discipline that focuses on classifying and determining the evolutionary relationship among organisms. Now, building that family tree is no small task. It's like trying to assemble a massive puzzle where fossils, body structure, and even the genetic sequences in DNA or protein all provide clues. When I was in chiropractic school, I remember a professor showing us how structural similarities in vertebrates, like the forearm bones we saw, for example, give away shared ancestors. That totally blew my mind. Each new discovery can update the family tree, because just like real family, sometimes long-lost cousins and relatives show up unexpectedly. Let's talk about taxonomy. The word is made up of the root tax, which means arrangement or order, and nomi, which means body of knowledge or systems of rules or laws. So, the scientific practice of classifying and naming and describing living and extinct organism based on a shared characteristic, that's taxonomy. The biggest category are the three domains we mentioned: the bacteria, the archaea, and the eukarya. Then from the domain, we go to the kingdom, the phylum, the class, the order, the family, the genus, and a species, and even the subspecies. I remember that hierarchy was the mnemonic. Did King Philip come over for good spaghetti? Play with that one and let me know if you come up with a better one. At each step, we get more specific. For instance, you can see that the dogs, it's in the Carnivora order within the Canidae family. Here, look, the Carnivora order and the Canidae family. And if you've ever wondered where the fancy Latin names come from, like Canis lupus familiaris, look at that, Canis lupus familiaris for our furry dog friend. That's the system right there. Binominal nomenclature, meaning two names. The first one is capitalized for the genus, and the second one is lowercase for species. But hey, science is full of surprises, because prokaryotes used to be lumped together as bacteria, but along came new genetic information that split them into bacteria and archaea. And this wasn't even that long ago. It was in the 1970s. This shakeup was a big deal. It was like discovering a new secret wing of your family tree. So the classification system can and does change when new data says, yup, these two groups aren't actually related after all. The phylogenetic tree sketches out the evolutionary journey of organisms. It can be read like a map of evolutionary history. Each branch point shows where one lineage splits into distinct new ones. See, we can see that here where we have the lineage come up and there's a split off. That's a branch point right in here. The phylogenetic trees are rooted at a base, meaning they have a common ancestral lineage, like a trunk branches come off from. Sister taxa, you see that right in here, share a branch point, but one hasn't evolved from the other. They simply share a common ancestor. For example, we have 2 orangutan subspecies, or look over here, we actually have 3 gorilla ones. Sometimes we highlight key evolutionary traits right on the branches, like the moment amniotic eggs first appeared. This helps us see who's got that adaptation and how it sets one group apart. Be careful, though, not to assume that an organism's on nearby branches always look alike. Also, a longer branch on the diagram does not mean more time elapsed. These trees show order of events more than strict timescale, unless, of course, it's specifically labeled. Another twist is convergent evolution, when unrelated groups evolve under similar conditions and end up looking or behaving similarly. Think of sharks and dolphins sharing a sleek, torpedo-shaped body, even though one's a fish and the other one's a mammal. So just because 2 creatures resemble each other does not mean they're on the same twig of the phylogenetic tree. Ultimately, these family trees reflect our best understanding of how life has diversified. But new discoveries like a hidden fossil or fresh DNA evidence can flip our assumptions on their heads. The big takeaway is that everything alive is interrelated, often in some mind-bending way. And that's the scoop on the phylogenetic tree, taxonomy, and how everything, bees, flowers, and even us, fits into the sprawling story of life